Throughout galactic history, Mandalorian society was constantly evolving and adapting. There was the ever-present ebb and flow of war and peace times to be traditional and times to adapt to the changing galaxy. The one ever-present trait of the Mandalorian people is honor. This warrior culture saw combat and the ability to wage war as a path to honor. They weren't conquerors in the name of subjugation, but in bettering their own people. After the Taung fled Coruscant, race and species no longer mattered to the Mandalorians. Any being could become Mandalorian, Mando'ad in their language. If any being were to swear allegiance and follow the Resol'nare, that is the 6 pillars of Mandalorian life as seen in various legends, this inclusiveness helped the Mandalorian culture grow. Even their version of a religion saw destruction itself as a god, Kad Ha Rangir. In their early days, they were a nomadic people led by a leader with the title Mandalore. To differentiate their rule, the Mandalore at the time would give themselves a unique title. Mandalore the Indomitable, Mandalore the Ultimate, etc. Throughout their history, the Mandalorians would try to reinvent themselves. Sometimes this was done out of necessity, war, defeat, the changing galaxy, or just choices by one ruler or another. In Legends, Jaster Mereel attempted to civilize Mandalorian warriors in the eyes of the rest of the galaxy. He created a super commando codex to try to turn scattered Mandalorians into disciplined soldiers who could be hired out as honorable mercenaries. This codex was adopted in wider Mandalorian culture as a form of honor and warrior identity. Unfortunately, it also led to a divide in ideology that would lead to the Mandalorian Civil War. Jango Fett would prove to be the ultimate version of the super commando ethic, fighting with discipline and a moral code. Death Watch was the old ways of the Mandalorian, more barbaric conquerors. To make it short, it was an early example of traditionalists or reformists. This would be seen again in canon with Duchess Satine leading the new Mandalorians in a time of peace. With their weapons put aside and the unique armor used for ceremonial purposes, the Mandalorians were still an exceptional people. They excelled in medical and technological advancements. Traditionalist Mandalorians resented their warrior ways being abandoned and ignited yet another civil war. Whether canon or legends, Mandalorian society was divided into houses and clans. Loyalties to one clan came first, then loyalty to Mandalore. Clans would have a senior leading figure, a chieftain or elder. Multiple clans could unite under a house, or the leader, Mandalore, at the time. A practice that could be seen as a service to the galaxy bolstered the Mandalorian numbers. Mandalorians would adopt young orphaned beings. These adoptees were known as foundlings and could be brought into a master-apprentice relationship as the foundling was inducted into the founder's clan. This was a tradition taken very seriously and with the utmost respect. Foundlings were never coerced, forced, or kidnapped. It was a way to take lost youth and give them a home, community, and purpose. The most famous foundlings at this time are Jango Fett for Clan Fett and Grogu for Clan Din. Clan Din is a bit confusing. Sabine Wren was from Clan Wren, Bo-Katan Kryze from Clan Kryze. Boba Fett was part of the clone father's clan, Fett. It tracks that Din Djarin starting his own clan would be called Clan Djarin. If you're getting value or entertainment out of any of my transmissions, it would mean a lot if you would join the Remnant and subscribe. It could be a cultural thing from Din Djarin's birth culture, that the surname comes first. This act of adopting falls right within line for Star Wars traditions of found family. The creed and clan is more important than blood or birth. Another major part of Mandalorian culture is their distinct armor, constructed of a rare metal, Beskar. The armor sets are virtually indestructible. They are also sacred to the wearer and the clan. They often pass armor down the line to younger warriors within the clan. The individual warrior is free to adorn their armor with custom paint and sigils, but nothing is done without purpose. Legends defines the color specifically. While there is no canon confirmation, there are also no contradictions. Gray is for mourning. Red is to honor a parent. This does not have to be a biological parent. Black is for justice, gold, vengeance. Green is for duty, blue, reliability, orange, lust for life. Yellow, remembrance, violet, luck, brown, valor, white, purity, pink, respect, maroon, power, crimson, defiance, silver, seeking redemption, teal, healing, bronze, nobility, and tan, loyalty. Let's take this color exercise a step further and break down some of the most popular Mandalorians. Jango Fett was a brave warrior and a noble leader. He became one of the most successful bounty hunters in the galaxy. His armor colors of blue and silver stand for reliability and seeking redemption. These fit his backstory, seeking redemption for the loss of Mandalore when he was the leader of men before he hunted for credits, and blue for reliability, both as a leader and in his new profession. Boba Fett's armor has more variety. Green, yellow, and red are prevalent. Green is for duty. Boba Fett honors his father and his clan. Yellow is for remembrance. His armor once belonged to his clone father. Red is also for honoring a parent, which makes total sense. Even to go a level deeper, the flight suit Boba Fett wore under his armor in the era of the Empire was gray, mourning the loss of a loved one. Boba saw his father die as a child. Years have passed, but seeing your father decapitated is not something you'll be quick to get over. When Boba reclaims his armor after his time in the Sarlacc pit, he wears black garments beneath it, justice. This is also when he tries to give up bounty hunting and attempts to rule a criminal empire through respect and fairness. When we meet him, Din Djarin has a battle-worn suit of mostly brown armor. His raw Beskar helmet is silver. Brown stands for valor. That defines the dedicated Din Djarin perfectly. Silver is seeking redemption, which tracks with his story as it progresses and he needs to get back in with his clan after removing his helmet in front of another living being. Bo-Katan and the Night Owls are blue and white, reliability and purity. Purity likely stands for their intentions as an organization. They wanted to bring Mandalore back to what it once was. The mysterious armorer has a bronze helmet and a deep red chest piece. Bronze is for nobility. That fits her to a T. Red means honoring a parent, as we discussed, but crimson means defiance. In this case, I would say that her story fits that definition more. We don't know her backstory to know about a parent, but she runs a hidden covert defying the ruling empire and then the New Republic, who Mandalorians were wary of. Her unique outfit also has a brown leather skirt, brown being for valor. An extra bit of Mandalorian lore is that bronze Beskar was produced, not by paint, but old smithing practices, meaning her helmet has likely been passed down for generations. The spikes along the helmet signify many things. Clan leaders often had these. They were also a symbol of defiance. When Darth Maul took Mandalore, his Mandalorians, fans refer to them as Maldalorians, had black and red armor, with the spikes on their helmets. This obviously matches Maul's look and his Zabrak horns more than any Mandalorian tradition. Black means justice and red means honoring a parent. Nothing the Mandalorians did was to honor the Mandalorian culture. I mentioned Din Djarin seeking redemption for removing his helmet. This was not a practice every Mandalorian follows. Din Djarin's particular sect, the Children of the Watch, look to ancient Mandalorian traditions and claim they follow the way of the Mandalore. Modern Mandalorians saw them as crazy zealots who take things way too far. They are not allowed to remove their helmets in front of another sentient being, or else they would be excised from the clan. The only way to redeem oneself would be baptism in the water of the mines of Mandalore. Despite all of the varied differences in clans and sects, along with varied interpretations of the way of the Mandalore, there are many cultural touchstones that all Mandalorians share. Pride in their warrior heritage, Mando'a, the Mandalorian language, and the various symbols for their houses or clan. The mythosaur being a shared sigil every Mandalorian is free to use. Even in the era of the New Republic, when Mandalorians were scattered and their numbers low, the differing groups keep the dream of Mandalore, the pride in their heritage, and show the resilience of the Mandalorian people. I've thrown a lot of names at you while covering this rich history. Here's a quick rundown of some of the most influential Mandalorians. Mandalore the Ultimate from Legends was the last Taung to hold the title Mandalore. He led his people in the Mandalorian Wars in the 3970s BBY. He grew the Mandalorian ranks drastically with various species. He also established the standardized armor for his armies. He was ambitious and cunning. He conquered countless worlds and was only taken down when an incredibly powerful Jedi, Revan, killed him in single combat. Mandalore the Preserver from Legends was given Ultimate's mask by Revan. He was then tasked with reuniting the Mandalorian people. He was successful in bringing many clans back together. He kept the Mandalorian survivors as an honorable mercenary society. His work ensured that the Mandalorian legacy lived on after the cataclysm of Malachor. Jango Fett is from both canon and Legends. He was a foundling from Concord Dawn. Despite his modest start, he became a brave leader of the true Mandalorians in the Mandalorian Civil War. He rose to the rank of Mandalore. Even when Jango was defeated and sold into slavery, he persisted. He escaped his captors and restarted his life. He became a bounty hunter and grew until he was the most notorious in the galaxy. His reputation attracted the attention of Count Dooku, going by Darth Tyrannus, and he was chosen as the template and donor for the entire cloned army of the Grand Army of the Galactic Republic. His canon story doesn't go as deep on his past, but the elements do reinforce the original story are all present. Jango didn't just provide the DNA for the clone army. In Legends, he personally trained clone commandos. Jango's legacy lives on in his clone son, Boba Fett. Legends sees Boba Fett take his father's armor and build his own reputation as the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy. That path leads him into serving the Mandalorian people and eventually becoming Mandalore. He would use his influence to have the Mandalorians aid the New Republic against the mighty Yuuzhan Vong. In canon, Boba Fett has an unconventional upbringing after the death of his father. He learns to be hard and tough. As he grows into adulthood, he would don his father's armor and begin his own career as a bounty hunter. During the Age of the Empire, Mandalore was under Imperial rule, and Boba Fett had nothing to do with politics or his people. Boba Fett was almost killed while working for renowned gangster Jabba the Hutt. Surviving this ordeal, he was taken in by a tribal warrior culture that showed him a new way of life once he earned their respect. He decided he was done letting his lessers tell him what to do and putting his life on the line for credits. He took a shot at being the boss himself. When his story last left off, he was not involved with many other Mandalorians, but as people's wider story unfolds, it would be great to see him involved. Duchess Satine Kryze in canon was a very important Mandalorian leader. She attempted to make her people pacifists and focus their exceptionalism on endeavors other than war. Her intentions were notable, but short-lived. She made this decision after seeing so many die in the Mandalorian Civil War. This also led her to the stance of neutrality in the Clone Wars. Unfortunately, Civil War would find her people again. She would be imprisoned and then killed in the waning days of the Clone Wars. Her death saw Mandalore into a new, dark period. Din Djarin in canon is widely known as the Mandalorian, or Mando to those closer to him. He was a foundling, brought into the Children of the Watch during the Clone Wars. In the years after the Empire's fall, he was a respected bounty hunter, never being as widely known as Jango or Boba Fett, but well respected in his circles. Din's life took a turn when he agreed to a bounty from the Imperial Remnant. A warlord hired him to abduct a Force-sensitive child who was to be experimented on. Mandalorians generally held a strict moral code, and this rubbed Din the wrong way. He rescued the former bounty and turned on his former employer. He nearly lost his life in the maneuver when his coven risked exposing themselves to save one of their own.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Fate brought him in touch with Bo-Katan Kryze, rebel hero Luke Skywalker, and the man who was responsible for destroying Mandalore, Moff Gideon. He won the Darksaber in single combat and worked alongside his coven leader, the Armorer, and Bo-Katan on reuniting the splintered groups of Mandalorians.